For Off the Block, I'm Vanny Lopes, and we are now joined by the U.S. Men's Junior National Team head coach Jay Hosack. And Coach, you've had a difficult last couple days for you trying to whittle down your roster to the 12 players you'll be taking with you in the upcoming NORCECA Championships. No, it was a tough call. You had some great players in the gym. What was this process like for you to be able to finalize the 12 players you're able to take?
Well, it's a much different scenario and process than maybe if you were, say, a college team. We told the guys at the beginning of the whole training period that, in your college year, it's kind of like a marathon. You get a lot of time in front of you, a lot of training periods, a lot of sessions. It's a long, drawn-out season, and we told the guys here, unfortunately, we don't have that luxury. It's just more of a sprint, and so we're not necessarily training guys on how to get better. We're making some little changes here and there, but for the most part, we're just trying to see who we can trust to get after it and who has the skills necessary to help our team out, and that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, and talking about some of the players that you're taking out, just want to ask you position-wise, setter, you're going with Tuaniga and Worley. What was it about those two players that you think can be a big contribution to your team?
Well, first and foremost, they have great location and great pace on the ball when they're setting it. The tempo and shape and everything, it was unsurpassed. The two guys that were behind him were not very far behind. Randy DeWeese and Yoshimoto were both very good, but Worsley and Tuaniga just had a little bit more consistency with their location. They're also great volleyball players in general. They know how to play the game within the game. They know how to do the little things that just, they just compete really hard. And I like those two guys a lot. I think they're going to run the offense pretty well for us.
Right. Now, volleyball fans were able to see what your opposite Kyle Ensing was able to do his freshman season with Long Beach State, but a lot of new faces with your outside attackers that maybe the average college fan hasn't been able to see yet. Can you just talk about the outside attackers that you're taking and who you think could have a big NORCECA tournament?
Sure. Well, Reese Doublevis from Pennsylvania and Dylan Mystery from the New York area. Two very strong, powerful players. Mystery plays at UCLA, and Doublevis is going into his first year at Ohio State. They both just beat the snot out of the ball and really, really like a lot of what they do. They just compete really hard. We have Austin Matania, who's going into his first year at Hawaii, and Jordan Ewart, who is just finished up his first year at Stanford. They're maybe not quite as powerful, but they're definitely quite dynamic, and they do a lot of things really well. They pass well. They got good spurs, and just, those four outside hitters all kind of complement each other. If we need a couple of big bangers and big swingers, we can put the guys in. We can put a little bit of submission. If we want some guys that maybe a little more range and maybe a little bit more cagey, then we can put in guys like Jordan and Austin. They can get the job done. So really like what those four guys are bringing for us.
Right. Now, Coach, you have a lot of great middle attackers on your roster. I think one in particular that may have surprised a few people just because he wasn't on the initial training roster was Scott Sabdick, but he was selected. Can you just kind of take us through that process a little bit? Having a player who wasn't necessarily on the initial roster be able to make the final roster.
Yeah, we had originally invited a number of guys that were seniors in high school and going into their first year in college, and Scott Sabdick was one of them. The challenge that those kids face, and the challenge we face, is that they want to experience the last year of Jay Hosack together with these guys that they've grown up playing with. And we can't fault anybody for that. I think we talked about this a month or two ago when you and I first started chatting about the invites. So we couldn't really be upset with anybody, but we had to pick, the next guys down, and we think we have a pretty good group. And what happened was we had an injury to one of our four middles that we invited, and he had to go home early. He hurt his knee. And then we had a younger kid who was the third middle in the group, who we just felt was not quite at the level that we needed consistency-wise, power-wise. The game was just a little bit faster than maybe we'd like for him. And so we had a discussion and thought that maybe we could make an invite to Static because his Junior Olympics team will be finished on the 2nd, and we travel on the 3rd from here to go to Canada. And we thought, well, with the other guys that we invited, we thought the positions that we had were pretty good. We didn't need to invite anybody else, but we thought in the middle position we needed to bring somebody else in. And, Static is one of the best, if not the best, middle blockers in the country at his age group. And he was available and said he'd love to be a part of it. So we're real excited about that, and we feel that the guys that we have picked for this team right now are the best in the country in their positions, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah. Now, Coach, obviously it's an exciting time getting that roster finalized, but I'm sure this time is also a little difficult for you having to have those conversations with the players who didn't make the final roster. Can you just take us through, as a coach, what are those conversations like? Do you have a one-on-one meeting with them, or do you do it a different way? How do you handle that as a coach?
Well, the reality is that, they come in here knowing that not everything is promised and guaranteed for them. And as long as at the meeting goes, at the end of the whole thing, we let them know, like, hey, that not only, do we appreciate you coming here and working hard, but, here's some things to work on for the future. And, unfortunately, we're going to maybe go a different direction. And 99.9% of the time, the guys are pretty aware. They're pretty self-aware. They kind of know where they fit among the grand scheme of things. But the other thing we try to do is just remind them that this is not the end of your volleyball career. This is just, a moment in time. This is a blip. This is a speed bump. And how you respond to it is what really matters. And the real beauty of the situation is, although maybe you're not making this roster, that doesn't mean you can't come back out next year and try to make it for the world roster. So, and a lot of guys over the years that I've coached with this team and others like it, is that this can actually be a motivating moment for them. I'll give you an example of somebody who I think everybody would know, and that's Greg Petty. Big Petty 4 years ago did not make this roster. And when we explained to them the reasons why and said, hey, this is kind of what we're looking for, and this is what we needed from you, and unfortunately it just wasn't it. Greg took it a little hard. He was a little bummed, and rightfully so. I mean, nobody's walking out, happy-go-lucky about the whole thing. But, I saw Greg a couple years later. He was mentioning to me, he said, that was a real big moment, turning point in my career where I had to get better, and I had to figure out why I wasn't getting selected, and it made him better as a player and better as a teammate. And, the guy ended his senior year in the final championship against Loyola was swinging for match point. So, and now he's playing pro overseas, and he's getting in the gym with the national team. And, I'm not saying that one moment the last 4 years ago was the catalyst or the reason, but it shows you what can happen when you listen to what the coaches are telling you, and instead of it being all negative, now you take some positives from it and say, hey, it's not all about me not being good. It's about me getting better in certain spots so that I can make a spot on this team in the future. So that's kind of how that works.
Right. And, Coach, you kind of look forward now. I know it's a pretty hectic schedule for your team. You guys are going to be traveling up to Canada, Quebec in a couple of days. So what do you have to do with this team in the next couple of days to really get them ready, get them as gelled as you possibly can so they're able to hit the ground running in the group play stage at Norseca's?
Well, I'll tell you what we don't have to do, and that's create competitive drills. These guys, they are getting after it every single play. There are guys hitting the floor, guys running around the gym, guys encouraging others and keeping each other accountable. I mean, it is a dogfight every single practice. So I think, to be honest with you, it's just kind of, getting as many touches on the ball as possible, playing 6-on-6 stuff, but we don't necessarily have to train very much. We don't have to do a lot of, individual sessions or small group sessions. It's more about just keeping their hands on the ball and playing together and getting used to each other's tendencies and just getting after it. And so I really like a lot of what I see so far. It's pretty fun.
Now, has there been one player in the gym who has positively surprised you where you knew they were good, but maybe they didn't think they'd be that good until you saw them in person?
Yeah, you know who has surprised me is 7-footer George Schumann, who is going to Princeton. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to see him for the next 4 years across the net when we play them. But you know what? For a big guy, he gets on the ball pretty quick. He also can play a lot of the other game, parts of the game pretty well. He can pass pretty well, play defense. He got good hands. He can serve well. I mean, that's a big threat that I was not expecting. Most big guys his size are not so nimble, and I really like a lot of what I see from him.
Yeah. Well, talking about Princeton, we'll end it on this, Coach, but I know that you're good friends with Princeton coach Sam Swiesky. He's also coaching the U.S. men's youth national team, and as we're doing this interview, they're playing the championship match, so any additional pressure on you knowing that your friend's already made it to the championship match with his team in Norseca's?
him and his staff and all the guys playing on the U team. I know my staff right now is watching him live. So super happy for him and wish him all the best, and hopefully they finish it out. And then it's our turn.